They found the fire first. It was still burning, a small cone of coals, glowing deep inside a ring of stones. Whoever built it hadn't been gone long. Smoke rose in a straight column through the still air and disappeared among the gray trees. Beside it sat a wide-brimmed hat on a folded piece of canvas, darkened with sweat and rain. Under the hat was a soft, creased map marked with a single looping trail that led up the ridge and back to camp. In the ash, someone had drawn numbers in a line, a countdown carved into damp dirt with the end of a stick. They called the missing man's name. The woods gave nothing back. The echo vanished after a few feet, swallowed by the trees. Everything was neat. The bedroll was smoothed. The canteen was open. The firewood was stacked in even pieces. On a flat stone nearby lay an open notebook written in pencil. The last line read, "Wind in the trees, voices between steps, counting again, lower now." That was all. No name, no date. Just those words and empty space below them. They followed his footprints until they reached rock, and the trail disappeared. They spread out, searching the brush, marking the area with orange cloth that stirred in a breeze no one could feel. When dusk came, they left. Locals said the ridge had its own hours, and if a man stayed past them, he either learned respect or never came back down at all. The hiker had started early that morning. He carried an old canvas pack and wore that same hat. He wasn't young, but he was strong, the kind of man who liked being alone. People like him didn't need much reason to go. Curiosity was enough. He'd first heard the story at a hardware store counter, a trail up Black Hollow Ridge that people started but didn't finish. The few who returned said the woods grew too quiet, and that sometimes, when the air held still, they heard something counting. Nobody could agree what it was. Some said it was wind moving through hollow trees, others thought it was water echoing underground. Nobody ever proved anything, and that was reason enough for him to find out for himself. He parked at the trailhead before dawn, signed the logbook, and started up the ridge. The first section followed an old rail line, gravel crunching under his boots, the smell of creosote still faint where the ties had rotted away. Later, the ground turned to soil and pine needles. By mid-afternoon, the light had gone flat gray, the kind that erases depth so that everything, trees, rocks, and sky, looks the same distance away. He found a flat spot near a creek where the water slowed and deepened into a black pool. It looked like a good place to make camp. He built a fire, boiled water for coffee, and ate a small meal. The woods were quiet. The creek made a steady sound, and for a while he thought about the trail ahead, whether to push farther before dark or stay put. Then he heard something faint beneath the sound of the fire. Not words, not music, but rhythm, like breathing or numbers whispered through the trees. He looked up. There was nothing. He told himself it was the wind. The noise came again, slightly louder. A pause, then another short burst, almost like someone repeating a pattern. He stood, brushed the dirt from his pants, and walked toward the sound. He didn't take his pack. He just needed to see what it was. The trail narrowed into a faint animal path. Water ran in thin lines over slick rock, catching bits of reflected light. When he called out, the echo returned late and wrong, slower, heavier, as if someone else were copying him from deeper in the woods. He called again, louder. The answer came again, a heartbeat slower and slightly different. That's when he stopped calling. He waited, listening. The woods went completely still, no insects, no breeze. Then from his left, a quiet voice said, 10. He froze. From the right came 9. Then from somewhere below, deeper in the ground, 8. And from higher up the ridge, faint but clear, 7. The voices overlapped slightly, calm, patient, and steady. He turned in every direction, searching for the source, but the forest didn't move. It wasn't echoing, it was answering. He told himself it could be the wind or sound carrying through the valley. He said it out loud, trying to sound convinced. But then came 6, close enough that he felt air move behind his ear, like someone was standing right there whispering. He spun around. Nothing. His heart pounded. The woods felt smaller somehow. He backed away and returned to camp, moving fast but trying not to run. When he got back, everything looked the same. The fire still burned low, the water pot still beside it. He sat down, breathing hard, trying to convince himself it had been nothing but nerves and acoustics. He opened the journal and started writing, short notes about the voices, the way the numbers had moved around him. The woods had gone unnaturally quiet now. Not the usual night silence, an absolute stillness that felt wrong. The fire popped. He glanced at it, then froze again. The sound had returned. 5. The voice came from across the fire. 4. This time it came from below, deep enough that it made the ground vibrate under his boots. He broke a few sticks into even lengths and placed them on the fire, focusing on the simple motion. He removed his hat, wiped the sweatband, and stared at it, trying to ground himself in something ordinary. Then came 3, whispered near his left ear. He turned, but there was nothing there. 2. This one came from inside his own breath, like he had spoken without meaning to. He froze completely, listening to his heartbeat. Then came 1. It wasn't sound at all. It was pressure, a slow, heavy force pressing against his chest. He stood up suddenly, not because he decided to, but because his body did. He stepped past the fire into the dark. His steps were slow and even, his pace measured. He didn't look back. The woods seemed to guide him forward. Behind him, the camp stayed untouched. The hat, the journal, the fire burning down to embers. 3 days later, the search teams went up the ridge. They moved in lines, combing the ground, marking their progress with strips of tape. They found no footprints past the rocks, no clothing, no body. Everything in the camp was still exactly where he'd left it. One man stopped at a wide section of rock with old chisel marks from an abandoned quarry. When he pressed his hand to the surface, he said it felt warm, like it was pushing back. He didn't mention it to anyone, just kept walking. When the notebook was collected, it didn't explain much, just the numbers and a single unfinished sentence. The last word was close. Rain came that night and washed away what was left of the searchers' footprints. The camp slowly began to disappear, the map softening in the weather, the hat turning pale green with moss, the fire ring cool and dark. The ridge went back to its quiet state, but not completely. People who hiked that way afterward said they felt strange pressure under their boots, as if the ground pulsed. A few claimed they heard a faint voice counting somewhere in the distance. 10, 9, 8. Not calling for help, not warning, just counting. Years passed. More hikers came and went. Some found old camps that looked eerily similar. Fires banked, journals left open with half-finished sentences, everything too neat. Nobody ever found anyone alive. Eventually, the local authorities stopped listing disappearances in that area. The older residents said the mountain just kept things. Sound, footprints, names. It didn't haunt. It remembered. By the mid-1970s, a dirt lot had been cleared near the base of the ridge where campers parked on weekends. Groups would sit by their trucks at night, sharing drinks while a radio played. One night, around midnight, a voice came through the static, calm and level. 10, 9, 8. It counted down to 1 and then stopped. The radio clicked off on its own. Nobody reached to turn it back on. The fire ring still sits in the same place today, sunken halfway into the ground, stones darkened from age. The old quarry wall nearby still carries the chisel marks, now half covered in moss. The trail has shifted over the years, but hikers who find their way there say the air changes as soon as you step into that clearing. Some swear the sound of footsteps echoes back half a second too late, as if the ridge is walking with you. Those who stand by the stone long enough say it feels like there's something deep inside it, a faint, patient push that meets your hand. And sometimes, if the air is perfectly still and there's no wind, the counting starts again. It's quiet, even, deliberate. 10, 9, 8. Always the same tempo, the same space between numbers. Never a voice you can place, never a direction you can point to. Not a warning, not a message, just the ridge keeping time.